the actual challenge or the actual problem we try to solve is increasing uptime. We just want to help leverage the knowledge what is wrong with the charger, what's good with the charger, what hardware component, what software component are broken, how to fix that, and having a really, really closed loop system. And that's what we offer as Pionix Cloud. So I think we are probably now the biggest open source ecosystem in the clean tech space.
So right now I'm at the stall of Pionix, who are open source charging solutions, and they are providing firmware for EV charger manufacturers, as well as now they are exploring in the areas of CPOs. So let's find out. So hi Marco. Nice meeting you. Thank you so much for your time. And it's really great to meet you. We're here. And I've known you since ICNC Berlin. And I've seen you delivering expert sessions. And since then, I've been following your journey at Pionix, open source solution.
Yes.
And I want to understand, what is Pionix? How did it come into being? And what is the core mission here?
So when we started our journey in the e-mobility, that was, I think, 2020. We just left the drone space, we sold a company there, me and my co-founders, and realized in the e-mobility with some first consulting steps like, wait a minute, this feels wrong. Everyone has to do so much coding just to get a charger ready.
Exactly.
And it shouldn't be that everyone is reinventing the wheel over and over again. So we need a unified solution. And with that experience in our mind, we thought like, how about doing the same for EV charging? And that was how Pionix, how the EVerest project was born. Try to abstract away all the commodity like CPP, ISO 118-2, -20, things everyone needs to build a charger. Bring that into one code base, make it open source, make it available for everyone. And all these neaty details like, oh no, this Tesla needs some extra timings here, Volkswagen has some other issues here. Getting all that right, getting all that in, that's bigger than just one company. And on the same side, it's just waste of time if everyone does it individually. So we thought like, yeah, let's do it together.
That's pretty amazing. So thank you so much for the detailed overview of Pionix, how it came into being. And could you explain, you mentioned that you have tried to solve the solutions for EV chargers. You have tried to create software. You have tried to find out how it could work as a common solution. Could you tell us about your products? What have you brought at Pionix? What are your products?
We started with making open source, and we're still doing that very, very much in the background. It's called the EVerest project. It's an open source framework where you can have all the charger logic from simple wall boxes to entire DC fast charger sites. It's super flexible, it can do all of that. From all the vehicle communication, the steering of the charging process, to payment, to connecting to backend system, that's all included in EVerest. But it's open source, and there's a saying in the open source community, open source is not like free beer, it's more like a free puppy. So it's like a small dog, you still have to bring it to the doctor, you still have to feed it, you still have to walk it every day. So
nice analogy.
It's free, but it's not effortless. But if you want to get this effort covered, you can do it yourself, totally fine. And it's probably still less effort than just doing everything yourself. But if you need help with that, that's where we come into place. So we created an enterprise version of this EVerest project called Pionix BaseCamp. And that is then a classical software license. Obviously, you can also buy a service level agreement. So kind of whenever you have an issue, we have a guarantee time, we have to react and get it fixed. This is kind of everything we do around the firmware within the EV charger. But then we realized, the actual challenge or the actual problem we try to solve is increasing uptime. So making sure all chargers always run in the field. And having a proper engineering experience, you need to have an oversight of not what only one charger in front of you is doing, but what all your chargers is doing. Yes, there's a lot of CPMSs out there, but they only going through bottleneck into their charger. They can't remote log in. They don't understand what the log files mean. You can't, do screen sharing with your charger. And that's where Pionix Cloud comes into place. So we don't want to do payment. We don't want to do authorization. We just want to help leverage the knowledge what is wrong with the charger, what's good with the charger, what hardware component, what software component are broken, how to fix that, and having a really, really closed loop system. And that's what we offer as Pionix Cloud. And then very new, and that's also what's next to me here on those yellow boxes, the Pionix ChargeBridge module. That's a really, really tiny PCB with 2 chips. It's a modem for the car communication, it's a microcontroller. So why is Pionix now doing hardware when we're actually a software company? In a way, we're doing this hardware also as a way of selling more software. Because when you build a charger, what I said beginning with the EVerest project, with Pionix BaseCamp, that solves 99% of the software issues in a charger. It runs on a Linux system, either let's say Raspberry Pi or any industrial PC. You still need 1% of the code, which is very close to the actual microcontroller level, which if everything goes wrong, it switches out power immediately. Makes sure we're keeping all the milliseconds timing right. And this, what is it, 10,000 lines of code, maybe 20,000. They're very hardware specific, and we could never sell them because it's coupled to a specific chip. But if we start to sell it alongside with the chip, then we can help customers 100% of the journey. That's what we do now.
Thank you so much, Marco. That was very detailed and very technical information. Thank you so much for being so honest and transparent about your product. So essentially what you're trying to solve the problems of your customer is that it needs to have higher, so the charging should be seamless, it should be easier for the end customer, and as for your direct customers, they can have higher uptimes. You want to ensure that, and you want to make their job easier. But what are your customer groups like? So are your customers OEMs? Are your customers charger manufacturers? What is your customer base?
So at the moment we're mainly focusing on the charger manufacturers. Down the journey we're already working with, down the road with bigger charge point operators who realize Pionix powered chargers are just better. Because our goal is to increase uptime, to make compatibility better, to make debugging easier, and this is kind of our expertise, having the best possible software ecosystem around the charger asset. And there's already big CPOs who see like, okay, if I want to have an excellent operation, I need that software. So
and that's really nice point if I think of, because first when I heard about Pionix, I was always thinking about charger manufacturers.
Yes, and that's still 90% true.
But the point where I want to come is that whenever is the charger manufacturer, the charger is not just one component. It is so many components inside a charger. There is a different display, there is a different software, there is a different power modules. It could be so many different components, and to make it interoperable and to make it the charging quite easy with an EV, it's a very difficult task. And I think that you're doing a really great job over here by solving that. And to my surprise, if you're going towards CPO business and you're telling them, hey, the charger is not working, and you can debug that for them, that's a very valuable task that you're doing.
Yeah.
You have explained everything about your current products, what is your future scenario, but I want to understand from the point of from your point, what do you see the e-mobility future in terms of how do you see the standardization happening, how do you see the protocols developing, and how do you see the uptime increasing and the changing customer requirements?
So if I look on the EV charging industry, there's always these numbers floating around 10 to 25% downtime of chargers. It's a bit hard to define because you can easily fake those numbers in one way or the other way. But let's say if you're looking on server landscapes, they have 99.99 something percent uptime. Getting there is like, I would say 10, 100, 1,000 times more than we are currently on EV charging in terms of reduced failure rate. And this is not like someone is doing here a bit or someone else is doing their hero move on spending a lot of money on software. We really have to flip the industry. So we see that our open source system or ecosystem is adopted by more and more vendors. I think we are probably now the biggest open source ecosystem in the clean tech space.
Wow.
In the numbers of what we can see. There's 400 engineers already touched the code base. As Pionix, we always make sure that there's no bullshit coming into the code base. We're reviewing everything automatically and by humans, but the growth is tremendous, and there's so many vendors now retrofitting products in the field, bring new solutions into the markets. So we really see the scaling.
That's
right
a
now.
really nice development. So if a customer is already willing to retrofit their products,
Yeah,
that speaks for yourself. That speaks that how good Pionix solution might be.
And we're also seeing that initially always people are like, oh, I have so much software done. Should I really retrofit? Is it worth it? So we then typically said like, oh, let's wait for the next product generation. And then we start together. But meanwhile, we see people having so much pain on the software side. Like, oh, I don't know, I have 20 product lines in the market with 4 different code bases. This is hell of maintaining. Maybe just retrofit everything over. So this is something new we saw over the last months to happen. So it's always a new part of the journey here. This open source strategy is actually flipping the industry in a way that, for example, when we're currently in discussions on different committee meetings, what are the changes to standards? How should the standard evolve? They're often asking us like, what is EVerest doing? So how have you solved that? Because you have so many users, the easiest way is just to do it the same way as you do, then most of the people don't have to flip behavior. And we're also working with car OEMs or with backend OEMs. And then like, oh, we have this weird problem with the car, or we need some extra features. Can you bring it into the open source ecosystem? Because then immediately everyone has it. Or when we recently did our first OCPP 2.1 tests, which is a very, very new version, just come out to the market.
Indeed.
Went to the first Plug Fest. Everything worked immediately out of the box. We have been stunned, like, how could it be? Why haven't we done any mistake? Why is it working with everyone? Normally you always have different interpretation, like what does this mean, what does that mean? And then you settle somewhere in the middle.
It's hard to believe, yeah.
But everything worked. And then we realized, oh, so you have been testing all the time against our prototype versions because they've been public, they've been open source. So we became, over the years, the default counter test site. So basically when we go out testing, typically everything works because everyone is testing against us all the time.
Nice.
So, and this is something everyone can derive from adopting open source, from working with the Pionix products. And I think this is a fundamental shift. So we call it like the code first, standard second approach. So being the playground for new standards, being the default playground for someone doing an implementation of a car site, of a CPMS site, I think this flips a lot of the dynamics. At the end of the day, there are so many standards out there, and I don't want to judge which standard is winning. Our strategy is like, yeah, let's implement all of that into one code base, and then let's figure the market out, what is actually needed. But in a way, we are a universal adapter. It plugs in everything, everywhere. And then there's so much on the roadmap, from megawatt charging on the one end to bidirectional AC, DC, towards home energy management integration, from eBus, OpenADR, Meta protocol, come from the home automation world.
So your solutions...
We are kind of everywhere active, somewhere along the ecosystem.
And all around the ecosystem, your solution will be able to support.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yep.
And
that's the journey.
Thank you so much, Marco, for your detailed insights, and congratulations for the tremendous rate that Pionix is experiencing nowadays. And I wish you a lot of success in the future.
Thanks a lot.
It was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.